All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Fill My Cup podcast. Today we're talking about Lazarus being raised from the dead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and roll that intro.
You are now tuned in to the Fill My Cup podcast with Nikki, Brandy, and your boy, Corn, where we dive into the Bible chapter by chapter. Join us as we connect God's word to our everyday lives. Get your cups up, get ready, let's go!
Welcome back. We are here. We're discussing John chapter 11, like Nikki said. Let's do it. But first, Nikki, Brandy, how are y'all doing?
Doing good. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
Nikki, anything going on with you?
It was a busy week for me. I mean, really busy. But this week we were able to read one of my favorite books.
Boom.
Bamboozled by Jesus, y'all.
Yes.
We talked about it last week, how Corn and I started reading this together for whatever reason. But it's a really good book. What's your thoughts on it so far? We're in chapter 2.
This chapter, was it chapter 2?
Well, it's actually technically, I think, chapter 1.
Yeah. Chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
One thing, I didn't like this chapter that much. It had great nuggets in it. One nugget that I did pull from it was where she put, make no mistake, anytime you own the fullness of who you are, it makes others uncomfortable. They'll talk bad about you and try to poke holes in your transformation. Let them talk. Opinions are like booty holes. Everybody got one. So just know.
She did say booty hole.
Oh yeah, I just read that straight from the book. So that just lets me know that when I'm on my journey, everybody, you might catch some, hole pokers or people who have their own opinions. So you just gotta let them talk. Let them talk. What about you, Nikki? What you got?
I mean, she opened up the chapter saying, my bad, not prepared. Who I am is a concept I've struggled with for a long time. And I could relate only because I think we even talked about, starting this podcast of reading the Bible and just trying to get on the right foot. And sometimes when you're a mom, a wife or a husband, you're all these different things that kind of get morphed into who you really are as an individual. We're more than just what people say. And so that has just been a little bit of a struggle of trying to find yourself as you are constantly evolving in life. So all that to say, go ahead and read Bamboozled. Go ahead and get a copy. It's really good.
It is. It's really good. And I'm excited for chapter 2. Play your position. Yes. I want to know how to play your position.
I'm excited about John chapter 11, though.
All right. Let's talk about John chapter 11. My book is titled The Death of Lazarus. So, Brandy, we kind of left you out. Are you okay over there?
No, I'm good.
You gotta join us on our our book study or whatever it's called.
Yeah, because I'm shocked by the language already.
Oh yes.
I was just thinking, like, I didn't want to add to it too much, but I was just thinking, like, I wonder when they were editing it, where they were like, what the?
That's what I was thinking too.
But yeah, like, the shock value makes you keep reading, so that's awesome. I'll jump in eventually.
All right. So let's get started. John chapter 11. Oh, I'm still on Bamboozle. Let me go back to the Bible. All right. John chapter 11.
I have the NIV version.
I do too. Nikki has the Good News version or something like that.
Yep, and it's the same, the death of Lazarus.
Let's go. Verse 1. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. Any notes?
just further down. Yeah. So read verse 4, please.
Okay, I'm going to read the whole paragraph. When he heard this, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. And then he said to his disciples, "Let's go back to Judea."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's paint the picture. We have siblings here, right? We got 2 sisters and a brothers, and they were obviously friends because it says,
Jesus loved them.
well,
So they had a close relationship with him or an experience with him.
yeah. In verse 3, my G&T says the sisters sent Jesus a message. "Lord, your dear friend is sick," talking about Lazarus. So the brother got sick and the sister sent a message out. I don't know how, but they sent that's what my highlight was. Like, how did that happen? Was it just you tell somebody, or if you're headed back that way, let Jesus know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess so. So Jesus finds out, and I did like how. Wait, 1 second. Well, obviously, again, in verse 4, the final result of this sickness will not be the death of Lazarus. This was to happen in order to bring glory to God. Mm-hmm. And so I think we talked about this. Was it last chapter, where, one of those things like, hey, if a child gets sick or something, what does that mean? And we talked about purpose. So even popping off on chapter 11, they're doing that. So,
yeah. I really liked how he made that declaration, like, this sickness is not going to end in death. And although, like, in life, we can make a declaration and, it may not be God's will, but I think just starting off having that optimistic, mindset, that faith is always good instead of always thinking, of a bad outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought about the wait, because although he's like, it's not going to end in death, in the physical, he did die. Did we get to that yet?
No.
Oh, okay. So I guess my note for that one was more of like his declaration, his optimism in that situation where it may not look good, but he's like, this is not the end for him. So just correlating that to life, like just because something looks a certain way, like you can still have that faith that the outcome will be, positive or good. So that's what I got out of those verses.
I like that word choice, declaration, for sure.
Yeah.
I got a note on verse 4. This will not end in death. I guess we did just talk about that. The thing about that, I think why I wrote that is because he actually did die. And I'm like, Jesus' wording, sometimes it throws me a little bit. And we'll talk further about it later. But
okay.
Here he says that his sickness will not end in death. And then we'll talk later about how it actually did end in death. But then, of course, he's gonna resurrect them.
He said, "Let's go back. Let's go back to Judea." Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they weren't happy with that decision.
Oh, they wasn't? Why do you say that?
Keep reading.
Oh, okay. Well,
verse 8.
I got a note on verse 6.
Oh, okay, sorry.
He loved them, then he stayed where, I thought it was funny that Jesus said, he loved Lazarus, but let me wait 2 more days before we go and help them out or whatever. Right? Like, what?
He on the deathbed, but I think I'm going to wait right here for a second.
That he didn't leave immediately. Jesus, and then I said that Jesus could have zapped himself there instantly. I believe he got that power. Anybody believe that Jesus got that power to just zap himself?
Where is Jesus zapping himself out of your life?
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
All right, we must continue.
Yes. Verse 9. We didn't get there yet. Okay, so let's continue. But Rabbi, they said, a short while ago the Jews there tried to stone you, and yet you are going back? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daylight will not stumble, for they see by the world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. After he had said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up.
Can you wait for a second?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did y'all get out of verse 9? Because that's what we call that, parable?
Yes, so verse 9, I put Jesus went so deep. Like, he's so deep and profound. And then I put, is there a message in what he said? Now, it's kind of funny because I was talking to Brandy's mother, my mother-in-law, not too long ago, maybe 2 days ago. And I was telling her how I want to stay in the light, meaning I want to go be in the church, be around like-minded Christians, people, you know, and not be in a dark place like the clubs and, you know, just all the bad things that's going on in the world. So I was saying that I want to be in this light so I can see and I don't have to stumble, where if you're in the dark or at night, you can stumble, make mistakes, hurt people.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. You said it perfectly. Like, you stay in the light, you stay in those environments and in those spaces that provide the light, you know, that reflects God's light. So, you know, preventing you from stumbling. And so I love what he said in that moment.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Now, I don't know if it was ever, because he did say something about when they were like, when he said, let's go back to Judea, and they're like, what are you talking about? Why would we go back there? They're trying to kill you. And he's just like, like, we're walking in the light. We ain't got nothing to worry about, you know? So he's like, I have this positive attitude. I'm not walking in the dark, you know, of thinking like, what if? You know, even thinking about the what ifs of life. You walking in the, you know, negative what ifs, and that's my struggle. But like, what if this happened? You know, because they're fearing like, okay, they might kill you again. And Jesus is like, no, we're walking in the light. We're gonna go because I'm needed here. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Okay.
So, even though that's still hard to see, because even like when Corn tries, I ain't gonna go too far, but when Corn tries to like help the homeless, and I'm just like, you know, they might get you sick, or you know, I'm giving him all the negatives, like, what is this? What is that? But you know, in those situations, he's like, I'm walking in the light because I want to do God's will, you know, so I'm not worried about the negative what ifs. I'm thinking about the positive what ifs. You know?
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I thought about that.
Thank you. Yeah, because I was confused as far as what they said in his response. I didn't know what he was talking about. Like, I knew it was obviously something more there, but you said it perfectly and it brought more clarity. Because I was like, hold up, Jesus. That was my highlight of question mark. What's going on? So, yeah. Okay.
What did she say perfectly that you got?
That they were, because I didn't understand his response to what the disciples were telling him. They were saying, you just got stoned. Why would you go back? You know, are you sure? And his response was both spiritual and literal. Like, yeah, a day, there's 24 hours in a day. Half of that day, you can walk in the light, will be good, you know. But then also on the spiritual aspect of it, just as you were saying, you know, you want to be in the right space and you want to be that light. So that in itself will kind of protect you in a sense, versus then if you're putting yourself in a situation where it's dark, then what do you expect? You're going to stumble. There's things that may happen, but if you put yourself in a position where there's light out, then obviously your chances of something happening won't be as great.
What if they would have said they were stoning you in the daytime? Like they told that to Jesus. It was daytime when they wanted to stone you.
Right, and people get robbed in the daytime now, right?
Right.
So yeah, but I think, and again, corn being corn, I like it. But I think there's just a point that Jesus was trying to make in that there's a way to do things. You know what I mean? We're not going to be traveling at night, and then I am the light of the world. So things is, we're okay. We're protected. So I think it could have been twofold.
And I think Jesus knew he had a purpose in traveling back. So he trusted God to get him there safely.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I got a note at 11. Why Jesus be playing? Okay. Why he didn't say that in the first place? The disciples are already confused enough. So verse 11 says, after he had said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. So, so
what was your interpretation of that?
That he's saying that he's because he says it later that he died and he's gonna come to resurrect him. But I'm like, why didn't he say that in the beginning? Like, why does he have to talk in such a way where the disciples are confused? Even verse 12, it says, his disciples replied, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So,
but listen, and that was kind of what I said in the beginning, like, what was the word of mouth? Was Jesus only informed about Lazarus being sick? Was it not the disciples who also knew? Because they clearly didn't know, obviously, that Lazarus was sick, on his deathbed nearly. Do you think that could have been the situation where he knew what was going on with Lazarus, but they didn't know, and they just like, hey, you going back now? Why would you go back? And he's like, oh, our friend, and he's asleep, but I'm gonna, wake him up again, and he's not doing well. Do you think that was possibly the case or the situation?
That the disciples didn't know what was going on, but he knew.
Yeah, but he knew.
What was him saying that he's sleeping and wake him up? What's that going to do for the disciples? Why sugarcoating that? What is that doing?
I think that he because it did say late, like, didn't he say later, like, he told them plainly?
Yes. It's in the next verse. So then he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him.
Yeah. Why he had to drag this out?
Why he had to drag it out?
Maybe he didn't want to, like, reveal what he was about to do. Like, maybe he was kind of like, because they were like, well, if he sleep, he will get better. Like, they were kind of trying to make it, like, basic, I guess. But then maybe Christ later was, wanted to say, like, look, I'm about to perform a miracle. Y'all get ready.
Or could it be that situation, too, where somebody, a loved one, a friend, or somebody's on their deathbed, and you don't want to say it?
Yeah.
And then again, they were close. This was like Jesus' homeboy. This is, somebody who was really close to Jesus, and he already knew what he was going to do, but he may have not, like, yeah, so-and-so dead. You know what I mean? Like, kind of, yeah, he's not doing well, this and that. But even, to your point, Corn, why? Why kind of drag it out? But if he's dead, who wants to just say he did,
Yeah. Only I think Jesus like to have a little mystery behind him.
Right. That's what I was going to say. He wanted to make it a surprise, but these people wouldn't, kind of go along with the surprise that he wanted to do, like a surprise birthday party, and you're trying to get the person who don't know about it to go into this room where they're about to surprise him at.
Yeah.
So he like, come on, let's go get him. I'm thinking about my sister's birthday party, her 40th birthday party, and what if she didn't never come into the room where we were all, hiding or whatever, and she was just talking to her husband and was like, I don't want to go in that room. I don't want to go there. It looks too whatever. So he just said, we just got to go here and let's just go here because this is where we need to be.
Yeah.
And then she's like, all right. So that's what I'm kind of thinking.
That too, yeah.
But anyway,
okay.
Let's continue. So then Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. What? What?
You gotta put like a little confused emoji there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thomas. Yeah.
I have a note there. Hey, hold on. I actually got notes before that. 15. And for your sake, I don't want to miss that you may believe. That he waited for Lazarus to die to glorify himself so that the people may believe.
Glorify God.
God, I think he says himself. I think it says so God can glorify him. But anyway, what y'all think about that?
It says Lazarus. I'm sorry. Let me go back. It says Lazarus is dead, and for your sake, I am glad I am not there, so that you may believe.
Yeah, Brady, what do you think about that?
Well, I thought about. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart, but I thought about he's saying like the only way he would be able to perform the miracle is for it to get to this extent, for them to like really believe in God's power that's working through him. So he's like, okay, like to be able to bring somebody from the dead, like that had to come from God. But if he was just asleep and Jesus just went there and shook him, like,
Ooh,
that wouldn't be miraculous to people.
That's good.
So for him to say, okay, I'm gonna let him, he'll be there for a couple days, dead, but you'll see what I do when I get there. And I try to parallel to life, in situations where we have to wait, we want God to like do it instantly.
Come on,
but I said, would we appreciate a miracle if it happened instantly all the time, or that wait, creates character, or does that build our faith?
Come on now.
Does it weaken our faith in that moment?
Yes.
When we have to wait? Or do we appreciate it more when God does work it out in our favor? So I thought about all those things, like when we have to wait, like God, it's like, I'm going to do this, but I'll have you wait a couple days first.
Come on now. I love that, Brandy. So true.
I don't know if you said it, but he had to, if he would have came there while he was sick, it wouldn't be as good as a miracle. So he waited for him to die so then he can come and raise him from the dead. Like everybody know he's sick. He stank from the odor and he's been dead for like 4 days. They wrapped him up and buried him and everything. I know. But okay. I like it. All right, where we at? What verse?
Yeah.
Well, we read 16 with Thomas.
Okay, you're right. Oh yeah, back to Thomas.
I was gonna say the part where they're like, let us also go that we may die with him. Yeah. Do you think they were referring to Jesus? Because they're like, they are still lacking in faith that they'll get there safely. Do you think they're like, they already tried to kill you? Why would you go back? And Jesus is like, nope, I gotta go back. I got something to do. Do you think they're like, let's go with Jesus because let's just go die with him?
Oh, I never thought
you think they were referring to Jesus when they're like, let's just go die with him?
Oh, so him meaning Jesus. I was thinking him meaning Lazarus, but what you're saying makes sense. What you think, Nikki?
Now that she said that, yeah. Yeah,
I like that.
Let us all go along with the teacher so that we may die with him.
Oh, is that what I love your verse because it makes it more clear sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was thinking Lazarus, but he's talking about let's go die with Jesus, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nikki, for your version of the Bible.
Yeah, but even in the beginning, I didn't even catch that until Brady said that. Yeah.
So these people that are walking with him, they've seen him escape multiple times, right?
Right.
in situations. They've seen him do miracles multiple times, but in this moment, they're still like, he about to go back and die. Let's just go with him. We'll die with him.
Yeah.
That's a ride or die.
But it's the fact that they've been walking with him this whole time, and their faith is still kind of like, we don't know about this.
Yeah. Man, I thought that Thomas was dumb. I was like,
yeah.
But now I see that he's a ride or die. He's like, we're gonna ride and we're gonna die with you. If you die, we will die. Okay, Thomas.
Get you a Thomas.
Get you a Thomas in your life.
Yes.
All right. All right, where are we at? Okay, so this
Verse
title
17.
is called Jesus Comforts the Sisters of Lazarus. I don't have any notes on this, so y'all stop me if y'all need me to. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life.
Pause?
Okay.
Sorry. 2 things I noticed. I said Martha is like, she was definitely faithful and, believed in his power, like the power that he had. But the part that I kind of got thrown off when it says, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. What last day do you think she's referring to?
When he comes back for everybody and we all go to heaven, I was thinking.
So the same resurrection we're waiting for?
Right.
The same.
That's what I'm thinking.
So the first coming already happened. Is that what? Not coming, but the world had already ended by water already in this time.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Before that time.
Before this time.
You're talking about Noah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened already.
This already happened. So the resurrection she's referring to is the same one we're waiting on.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
That
stood out to me because I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, I honestly don't know that, Randy. But I do like your first point and how Martha just like, man, you should have been here. If you were here, he would not have died. And in my verse, she even calls him Lord. If you had been here, Lord, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask him for. So she really did. She really believed in Jesus and what all he could do.
Now, what if Jesus would have said, he didn't say this, but what if he would have told Martha? This is something I would have said. I actually, I wanted him to die, because I wanted to make it more flashy to let these other people.
Ego. That's the book of corn. Ego. That's the book of corn right there.
Just saying. Don't be mad at me, but I kind of wanted him to die.
That wouldn't be a very gracious answer.
Yeah, I got to do better.
Humility.
Anyway,
Okay.
Are we ready to continue?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Oh, Jesus. I highlighted that. And that was a lot. And I just put myself in Martha and Mary's shoes. We've been waiting. We were hoping that you saved him, right? And then come 2-3 days later And although I believe in your power, she was kind of saying, like, Lord, God will do whatever you say, go ahead and do a miracle. And obviously, Jesus knew that he can do that, but he also wanted her to know and everyone know that it's really me. So even if your situation, even if I don't raise Lazarus for the dead or whatever I'm about to do, he's making it clear that you're going to have life regardless by believing in me. And I put myself in their shoes, just losing somebody. You're like, okay, like he kind of refocuses, what you should be thinking about. And that was just a mouthful for me. Do you believe this? I'm like, I wouldn't have been stunned if you would have said that and I just lost my brother. But go ahead.
No, that's good. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? It's just so, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I think that takes a little bit more deeper dive.
Yeah, that's a lot to chew on.
It's kind of, I don't want to say this, but I want to say it. It's kind of like, it don't matter about what you feel and what you think. The only thing that matters is me. And so believe in me. I know you're going through what you're going through. I know you think he's dead, but all the troubles and stuff that's going on in your life, like, that don't matter. The only thing that matters is me. Is that wrong?
And it's saying trust me too.
Trust me. Yeah.
Trust me. You're going to live through me. You're still going to die through me. But it's the belief that you have in me, that trust factor. And that's what I was saying. That would be like, I just lost my brother. I'm asking, we're friends. We're all friends here, right? It's not like this is somebody, Lazarus, Jesus. And I know who you are, Jesus. I know you got the power. And so for him to have said that to her is just like, well, you know what I mean? It's almost like a check, but with grace, because I know you're mourning right now. I know you're going through your grief right now, but yeah, it's that believe in me and trust in me. And for me, that just hit home, because as you go through stuff and life happens, it's like, God, just like Brandy said, you're praying for a miracle to happen, and Jesus is reminding you to trust him, believe in me.
Yeah, and that builds your relationship with God when you have to wait, because you do have to pull on his peace and his strength. If you don't have, in some situations, if you don't have that time to like cultivate that relationship, like, how can you grow? You know what I mean? In other situations where you're like, okay, I've been here before, so God will keep me in this waiting, in this time of waiting.
Yeah.
I like that.
But in that verse, like when he said that I am the resurrection and the life, I just think of like, there's so much freedom in that, mental freedom to like not, be bound mentally walking through life, which is still something you have to gradually grow in. But there's really freedom in what he said.
I agree with that. And I wish that I can get to that level of freedom to not even worry about this world and what's going on, but
yeah
just to lean on him and let Jesus take the wheel, as they say.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. All right, verse 27. Yes, Lord, she replied, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. Okay. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house comforting her noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. Then Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him. She fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. Jesus wept. What y'all think about that? I had a note just for that. Jesus wept.
Yeah, I highlight that as well. It just shows like that human side, even though he's God, he still has feeling. He still, again, he knew Lazarus personally, and he was touched. He was touched by the grief of everyone. He was touched by the loss, and yeah, he understood. It showed me that Jesus understood and empathized and sympathized.
Okay. So where were we? 36?
37.
Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him? See how he loved him?" Man.
Oh, even Jesus Christ. See how he loved him?
But
yeah.
Some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?"
It's always some.
Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." Let's stop there real quick. What do you think about him? The only reason why he's saying, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." Like, he cares about what other people are thinking.
I thought about it in the sense of he wants to acknowledge that it's God power working through him. So he's acknowledging, like, "Hey God, I know that you hear me. I want other people to know, like, where my strength or my power comes from."
So do you think it's important to acknowledge God to other people?
Yeah. I think even like if a pastor goes up to the front, they always acknowledge God. They always acknowledge that it's God speaking through them. They ask for God's, to speak through them. So people know that it's not them, that it's God. So I think in that sense, it's similar to him saying, "Hey, my strength comes from you." Okay. And this miracle is about to come from. So I think it was a way to acknowledge. What did you think, Corn?
Well, I was more thinking about, not that you shouldn't acknowledge God at all, not thinking that, but it's that like he said that I don't usually, like, I know that we talk, and I know that you're real, and I know what you're doing, but I'm saying this because I want other people to know. or to
And I
believe.
think that part of his mission was to create believers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's on this journey of like bringing people to God. So it was like one of his ways to like just acknowledge God, and because he was about to perform a miracle. But I don't think it was like, oh, I gotta, like I feel like I have to prove to other people that God is able in the sense of like an insecurity or anything.
Hmm.
Okay. I'll continue. When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, take off the grave clothes and let him go.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How y'all feel about that?
I haven't. Have anybody ever seen a resurrection before?
No.
Like I've seen people like put videos on YouTube. I never like watched it though. I think I'm a little freaked out
That's
to
a
even like.
thing on YouTube.
Yeah, you could probably look it up on YouTube. It's usually happened like the videos that I've seen. Like it was like in Africa or like some another country.
Wow.
Hmm.
But you could probably Google it and see what comes up. Now the legitimacy of it, I don't know.
I just wish they gave us more.
Oh
Really?
yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, we know, okay, so then what? I mean, obviously, Jesus gave us more by just the simple, not simple, but the mere act of raising somebody, right?
Right.
I just wanted to know, like, Lazarus' side.
Yeah.
What did he think about this? How did he feel?
What did he
What did
experience?
Martha and Mary say? What did they do? Is Lazarus even mentioned again later on in the books? Do we see? And then Lazarus passed by, and you know what I mean? Like, give us more. Give me more.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think they actually do. I don't know if it's in this book, but it's in a different book. I
Okay.
think he starts eating and all this other stuff. I was like,
He
oh,
starts doing what? Eating.
eating. Yeah. After he's,
Really? So they mentioned Lazarus again?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know about in this book, but the gospel, the four books of the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it's like
Mhm.
retelling of the same story
Yeah.
in different other perspectives. So I think they
Okay.
do talk
I'm
about
curious to
Lazarus.
know what those other perspectives are because I like now that you say it, Nikki, I am thinking like, okay, did he say anything or did he just like get up and keep walking like
Right.
a nice nap?
It's just, and then again, like, I even want to hear about Mary and Martha. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, did they have family reunion after that, or
Family reunion.
what happened? But yeah, I would just, Jesus, you did outdid yourself on this one. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The plot to kill Jesus.
But bum bum.
Therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did believed in him. Believed in Jesus or believed in God?
And they believed in him, Jesus.
Right. But some of them went to the Pharisees. What you call it, Nikki? Those
Snitchers.
snitchers, dry snitching. But some of them
No,
went.
that wasn't even dry. They just
They
went
real
blatant out, just all out.
But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the Sanhedrin. What are we accomplishing? They asked. Here is this man performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation. Now, I had some kind of compassion. These Pharisees now they're showing that they had a reason for what they were doing. They don't want the Romans to come and destroy them. They don't want the Romans I did a little research, just a little bit, not much. Google. The Romans had taken over, I guess, the Jews or something like that, and they appointed different priests and all this stuff to kind of manage themselves.
Okay.
So the Pharisees felt that if Jesus, I don't know, Jesus, his miracles, all this stuff, and people believed in him, that they would kind of rebel against Rome, and then Rome would come down and kill everybody and take everybody's positions away.
So it's a way to kind of control the people.
Right. What are you saying, Brady?
No, what Nikki was saying, they were fearful because Rome had already established this control over them.
Right. All right.
So you were compassionate.
Yeah. So 49. Then one of them, named, how you say it? Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, spoke up. You know nothing at all. You do not realize it is better for you that one man die for the people than that the whole nation perish. 51. Okay, let's stop there real quick. My research. So Rome accounted Caiaphas to kind of be the high priest. And then in my research, they were talking about how this wasn't the way that it was supposed to be. This is some kind of Roman rule that they put this person in place to kind of keep all these Jews in check. But what the high priest is a lifelong thing where somebody who's high priest is supposed to rule all their life, and even their children, I think, after them. So anywho, let's continue. 51.
Wait, what is your...
Okay, go ahead.
So sorry. What is your thoughts on what he said about what fools you are? Don't you realize that it is better for... Sorry, I can't read. Don't you realize that it is better for you to have one man die for the people instead of having the whole nation?
Yes. In the research that I was reading, they were talking about how he was actually prophesying. This person who's actually against Jesus, he's actually prophesying for Jesus that Jesus was sent down here to die for the whole nation, for the whole world, for the people who believe in him. So he said it kind of negatively, but it's actually true what he's saying too. So that's kind of
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Look at you! You did some research, Nikki.
Just a little bit, because I was confused.
Oh,
you know, obviously, they mentioned his name for a point, for a reason, I should say. So 51.
51. He did not say this on his own, but as high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation. And not only for that nation, but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one. So from that day on, they plotted to take his life. 54. Therefore, Jesus no longer moved about publicly among the people of Judea. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the wilderness, to a village called Ephraim, where Ephraim? Whatever.
Is it Ephraim?
Ephraim, okay. Where he stayed with his disciples. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, many went up from the country to Jerusalem for their ceremony cleansing before the Passover. They kept looking for Jesus as they stood in the temple courts. They asked one another, "What do you think? Isn't he come to the festival at all?" But the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that anyone who found out where Jesus was should report it, so that they might arrest him.
Sheesh.
Woo!
That's a lot.
Yep. That's it. That's it for chapter 11. Did y'all have any closing remarks?
It's going
I mean,
down.
it's definitely going down. I think this once Jesus rose Lazarus from the dead, that was it for the people.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, nope, this is it. We got to get this man. Yeah, he called disturbance. He caused people to sway against the laws, and
Disturbance. That's a
and
good
Jesus
word.
knew this. I think what happened?
Disturbance. That was a good word. I like that Jesus was causing a disturbance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And yeah, like Brandy said, it's going down. To be continued.
Shake things up.
Oh yes, agree.
All right.
We almost to the middle ground of chapter John.
What'd you call him, Brother AJ?
The book of John. Sorry. Yep. AJ, Apostle John.
Apostle John.
Good.
This was good.
Well, thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Go to our Instagram. Contact us on gmail.com. What else?
Mm-hmm.
What else is there?
Share, like, subscribe,
Share.
tell a friend and tell a friend. And just join us. Join us as we read. We're just learning. We're not perfect. We are just trying to learn and walk this path. So join us on this path.
Yes. And as always, can we get a good prayer from the prayer woman?
All right, let's go. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this time that you've allowed us to come together, read your word. We thank you for sending your son, Jesus, Lord, to be the example, to show us these miraculous works, Father God, so that we know that you are still able to show us these miracles in our lives, Lord. We ask that you give us strength, Lord, in the waiting room when we do ask for things from you or need things from you, Lord. Give us strength, give us peace, Lord, that surpasses all understanding. Lord, we pray for those that are watching this. We ask that you continue to give them peace and strength, guide us on this journey, bring the right people into our lives, Lord, in this journey, so that we can strengthen each other, Lord, and learn from each other, according to your will. For all these things we ask in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Give us strength in the waiting room. Yes. Love that. And get you a Thomas.
I know we can find Thomas.
Get you a Thomas. All right, guys.
All right.
See you next time. Bye.
Peace.